Hey everybody, this is Sully. I am showing some tricks today for how to get batteries for your FPV equipment. And for me, that's box goggles and a transmitter. So this you may recognize as a Dell laptop battery. It is a used, very old laptop battery. It is rated in here at 11.3 or 11.1 volts, which is essentially a 3S lithium ion battery. And it's 60 watt hours, which basic math would tell you that it's 60 watt hours by 11. I'll put the formula on the screen to get the size of the batteries inside. What you do is go on eBay and find some used laptop sales. Laptop batteries. They go very cheaply. You may find them at work or in several places. And you just buy the packs like this. These shells are difficult to open. There are no screws. So you essentially find a spot and you pry and pry and pry. And you'll pry it apart. And what you'll end up with is, so you'll end up with something like this, which is what's inside one of these. So these are various models. This one, they're all pretty much 3S 2P packs. So generally they use 650 cells set up like this. And once you crack the case apart, just cut the wires off and you will have 6 1S lithium ion batteries. Once you have these in place, all you have to do, these are a little more robust than what we're used to dealing with the with lithium polymer batteries. These are lithium ions, so they do discharge differently and they go much lower. But essentially, if you can get voltage on it, let's see if you can see it here. Yeah, if you can get voltage on it above about 2 to 3, you have to be very careful. All of this is definitely 1000%. Your mileage may vary. Be very, very careful. So let's say you break these down. You break these into 6 individual batteries and you check for bad ones. Bad ones will generally give you nothing. And I've been fortunate that all of mine give me something to work with. And normally it's about 2 volts. I'm doing this backwards. It's about 2 volts, 2.5, 3 volts will generally get me in the vicinity of what I need. And the good thing is they are set so that positive has holes at the top right in here. Negative is generally flat, so just like any other battery you have. Now, once you have your batteries separated, you will need some JST connectors. And I normally buy 20 of these for about $1.50 or something from any number of sites. That cheap Chinese one has the cheapest, honestly. And you'll get male and female. And yeah, make sure they work. They can plug in, you're fine. Okay. So you'll have a lot of spare JST connectors. And I use these because my goggles have a JST connector. And that's what they accept, JST. Simple. And I'm wanting to power my goggles, but I don't have the money, or I don't want to spend the money for lipos that, quite frankly, last about an hour and a half and can cost a good bit for like a 2000 milliamp hour lipo. It costs about $8 or so for a new one, and they don't, well, they do last, but they don't last as long as these. These last quite a long time because they're made for laptop recharging. Once you have your JSTs and you have your separated batteries, you simply, there are many, many ways to do this. If you solder them, you want to make a JST effective lipo. Now I'm going to build a holder, 3D print a holder for this, so that I don't have to always solder them to the battery. You do not want to apply much heat to this battery. So in my case, I have just the most basic of soldering jobs to put the black wire on the negative, the red wire on the positive, and that gives me this. Once I am in here, I can simply plug in. And trust me when I say this is ghetto right now, but I will build a holder that will sit on top. And once I'm in here, I have power. And I have 3 bars, if you can see it. Yeah, 3 bars of power. This is not fully charged, but I have power. And it runs for quite a while because this battery is about, and since it's 60 watt hours, we can work backwards, and I'll put the formula on the board. So each of these is a pretty substantial 1S battery, more so than what you would pay an equivalent amount if you were to buy LiPo. Now you're saying, how do you charge it? And 1S batteries are notoriously hard to charge. So for my ultra inexpensive, there is actually a Wi-Fi power module that is this. This comes out of one of those Internet of Things, IoT solutions, and it has a pretty cool capability. This side has a 5 volt and ground, so this will put out 5 volts if you ever need it in the field. I put a JST connector on it, not thinking. I actually will convert this to a USB connector so that I can plug in. This is the input side. It takes 1S input of whatever your battery is. In this case, it is my JST, or I'm sorry, so I just plug in here. This goes in, gets converted, and it puts 5 clean volts out. And we'll see here. This is not the cool part of it, but this is definitely something, if you're in the field and you need to charge your cell phone, wiring a USB to this is very simple, but it puts out, can't see it now, it upconverts my 3.7 to 5.13 volts. So it puts out 5 volts of power. That's one of the cool features of this little module that costs $1.20, $1.27 on eBay. It basically puts in here an output of 5 volts. So if you need something that's 5 volts out of a JST or any other type of connector, this will put out 5 volts. It has many other uses. For me, it's 5 volts. When you buy it, this is a brand new one. So when you buy it, it comes with headers and it comes with this type of connector. So you just need to solder this connector off so that or if you have that type of connector, you can wire in. But anyway, I soldered this off and wired in my 2 wires. There are actually many videos on this little module. It is a cool thing in that it is basically a nice way of getting 5 volts out from a 1S 3 volt in. It will also serve as a USB charger. And that's where the cool thing comes in. So, let's get this here. I have my battery plugged in. Whenever I plug in my USB piece, here, I get a red light. When this is fully charged, it will turn blue. I've tested it many, many times. It charges exactly to 4.2, and it turns blue. The other thing it does, if you unplug here, see, blue light, this will also put out 5 volts. So if you ever need a USB to 5 volt JST, you'll have one in the field. That can be useful for some things. Like I say, I don't use that part so much. What I use this piece for is a $1 USB charger. There are many videos on this to measure the output, but essentially it is a 500 milliamp hour. So I'm sorry, it's a half an amp charge rate. So this type of battery will charge in about 2 hours on this. Since these are laptop batteries, the lithium-ion batteries, holding a charge doesn't damage them like it does our LiPo cells, so you can charge early and leave them charged for longer. I have not experienced any degradation like I have with LiPo batteries. For a total investment of about $10, you can get a charger, which is now charging my battery. You can get a charger. You can get a used battery pack from eBay or work if you can get it for free or source it, or if you have a laptop that died, whatever you have. For $10, you get your JST connectors. You get one of the charging modules. I can buy 10 of these, whatever. Use your cell phone cord and you can charge. You can also output 5 volts and you get 6 batteries. That to me is a huge steal and something that I really needed. It will run my goggles for quite some time. I actually haven't run this down yet, and that's with about an hour of flying. I don't really notice it dropping bars like my LiPo does when it starts to die. I've run through 2 or 3 of the LiPo batteries that come in with the JJ Pro goggles, and they're 2,000 milliamp hour batteries, and they don't take too many cycles before they start losing time. Now, admittedly, mine's lasted a year, but these last much longer, and they're much, much, much cheaper. So you can set these all up simply with a cell phone cord or, your normal USB charger. Set them up, let them charge. Since they're lithium ions, they keep charges for longer without damaging the batteries. The batteries are much cheaper and they're very high capacity with enough to run goggles if they're 1S. If you need 2S, you would have to obviously wire these in series. Not a big deal. You can wire these in parallel if you need longer. So you end up with very cheap sources of things that will power your goggles or your transmitter. In my case, that's the other thing I use these for. That is why I needed the 5 volt out. 1 second, please. And we're back. So now, since I've done my FlySky mod, that's essentially a negative connected to the negative, positive to positive, and a 5 volt converter. That's why I needed my 5 volt out. I don't need this anymore, and I can power from this module as well if I needed to. But since I have not made that conversion yet, I can still plug my 1 battery in. It gives me a red light, which tells me I'm getting 5 volts out. And when I power up, 5.04 volts. And that's running off of 1 of these instead of 4 rechargeable batteries. So if I need to, I can charge these up, keep many, many, many spares, and it will run for quite some time. That's going to conclude it for today. Sorry for being so boring on this one, but if you're like me and you don't like spending money on batteries, when you know there are cheaper alternatives, I will say laptop power supplies break down so quickly, and inside each of these little casings, you will find 6 batteries that you can use very easily to power your FPV equipment, including your transmitter with a simple mod or your box style goggles. You can also modify it if you have Fat Sharks or something else to put out 7.2 volt or 7.4 volts by putting these in, and you would get 3 batteries for the price of 1. And that is all for today. Thank you so much for listening. I'm going to put links down below for the things I can't remember right now, such as what this is called, and the capacity of these batteries, and the price on the JST connectors, and that's going to do it for today. Thank you so much once again. Appreciate your time, and y'all have a good one. Take care.